Folks, it is so great to be here in North Carolina. North Carolina, the eyes of the world are on you. What you do right here in North Carolina in just 3 days, my friends, not only will determine the majority in the House, but it will determine who is in the White House. And let me tell you this, folks. There are a lot of people who are trying to count you out. But I have a good friend who says when people count you out, you teach them they don't know how to count. And on Tuesday, you are going to teach a whole lot of people that they don't know how to count. You know, elections are so critical. They are so important. And this election is the most important election of my lifetime. But folks like to make elections out to be some complex things, and they're not very complex. Because this election is about hope versus fear. It's about progress versus chaos. And the contrast of the candidates and the parties could be no more stark than they are right now. On one side, you have a twice impeached, 34-count convicted felon who sexually assaults women. And this guy wants to rip away your health care. He wants to eliminate Social Security and Medicare. He wants to get rid of Head Start. And for the first time in 50 years, because of his work, putting 3 right-wing Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court, for the first time in 50 years in this country, grandmothers and great-grandmothers have had more rights than their granddaughters and their daughters. This is a guy who likes to talk about making America great again. Basically, what he means is that America's greatness is in her past. But we know better, North Carolina. America's greatness isn't in her past, but is in her future. And her future looks like all of us. Her future is one in which we all have a seat at the table. But we got a start message for Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans. We are not going back. You see, it's an interesting thing. Those of us who know our past know that we are not going to repeat it. I grew up in South Carolina, raised by my grandparents. My grandmother had an 8th grade education. She picked cotton and cleaned houses. My grandfather had a 4th grade education, and he paved roads. In the South Carolina that they grew up in, they had to sit at the back of the bus. In the South Carolina that they grew up in, they had to drink out of colored water fountains. In the South Carolina that they grew up in, they could not always vote. And now I am raising my 2 sons in South Carolina, and I'm telling you, Donald Trump, I'm telling you, MAGA Republicans, we are not going back. And the reason we are not going back, North Carolina, is because on our side, we are the party of hope. On our side, we have a champion for reproductive rights. On our side, we have a fighter for the people. On our side, we have a voice for the voiceless. On our side, we have an MVP, our Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, here in North Carolina, y'all know something about championship teams. Y'all won a few championships in your past. Well, we have built a championship team. We have our MVP in Kamala Harris. We got a dang good old coach in Coach Tim Walz. But y'all know any championship team, you got an MVP, you have a coach, but you got some role players. Some people who can get the extra rebound, steal that ball every now and then, get an assist. And that's where all of us come in. We are the role players on this championship team, and we got some work to do in these last 3 days, my friends. We have Kamala Harris, who is fighting for all of us. Her policies will make America better for all of America's people. But my friends, as I've told you that they are a party in the past and we are a party in the future, I'm going to give you a glimpse of the future. Imagine this, North Carolina, January 20th, 2025. It's Inauguration Day, but it is also Martin Luther King Day. And we all are in Washington, D.C. It's a cold and brisk day in Washington, D.C. You all are in your Sunday's finest, but you got on some coats and gloves. It's so cold that Bernie Sanders even has his puffy jacket on and his mittens. But we go to the U.S. Capitol, my friends, this building built by the hands of slaves. And on that dais in the U.S. Capitol, we have all of the dignitaries in the Democratic Party. We have your new governor, Josh Stein. We have our new Speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries. But there are two people that I want to point out, North Carolina. The first is a woman, and she is cloaked in all black. She's a Delta. She's Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. And Justice Jackson has in her hand the Bible of Frederick Douglass. And out comes another woman, a woman of black and Asian descent, an HBCU grad, Howard University, an AKA. And she steps out onto that stage, and she may be wearing all white, or she might decide to wear a tan suit. But she comes and she places her hand on that Bible, she lifts the other hand, and she swears to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. My friends, at that moment, Kamala Harris becomes the 47th President of the United States, the most powerful person on the face of the planet. And she will continue that great tradition of Democratic presidents. Kennedy, Johnson, Carter, Obama, Biden, Clinton. Because she will see us, she will hear us, but most importantly, she will fight for all of us. But to make that dream a reality, my friends, we all have to do something. So the question that I have, North Carolina, are you ready to do something? Are you ready to knock on some more doors? Are you ready to make some more phone calls? Are you ready to go to the polls and vote? North Carolina, are you ready to fight for our freedoms? Because North Carolina, you know this, when we fight, let's go win this.